Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to our channel. We're offended, you're offended.
What? I'm naked. What? Fuck.
Hi, baby.
Fuck.
Where are you today?
Someplace in wonderful Ontario.
Okay, so not the evil Regina. That's good.
No.
Want to hear another one of those rants?
No. However, well, everyone knows that Winnipeg's fucking dumb. So, to start everything off, I don't know. Whatever.
Check us out on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere else you can listen to us. They'll be in the description below. Like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and family and enemies, actually. Just share us with everyone. Even people that you just randomly run into, be like, yo, check these people out. They're pretty dope. Just do that because why not?
Goats.
Hopefully everybody who's listening heard our last podcast that we did that was all about UFOs, and quite frankly I just can't get enough of it, so we're gonna do it again. Insert X-Files theme music here.
All right, is that what you're
yes. And we have a special guest with us today, a reoccurring guest, Jimmy Jetz.
What?
Okay, so let's I guess let's just get into it. Let's get some stories going here.
All right. Let me go.
So I guess I guess the U.S. has finally released a lot of information regarding UFOs, and that apparently they're saying that they're not necessarily real, but that they can't give a good reason as to why. What was it? 143 out of 144 sightings. They don't know what they are.
Oh, that's a really high number. I would have expected it kind of the other way around. You saying 1 or 2 out of the 50 million that there has been, they don't know. But that's a really big number of not knowing what it is. Ooh, the moon looks really cool right now.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about Bob Lazar last episode. Excuse me, sorry.
Yes, we were.
Whoa.
I think his story is probably the most credible out of almost any story that you hear about UFOs. I think his is...
well, yeah, he's literally been telling the story for how many decades now? And it literally has not changed one bit. It's always stayed the same, very consistent, which it would be really hard to do for somebody who's bullshitting. They'd be wrapped up and caught in their lies eventually. So it sounds pretty believable to me. I believe the guy.
Yeah. When he comes across, he's not very, he's not trying to lay up his experiences. And I think I brought this up last time that if there's things that he's not sure about, he goes out of his way to say, I don't know, I can't confirm this. So he's, not trying to play it up where you hear some guys have, made up stories about, well, I was abducted and they told me all these stories and stuff, and they just get more and more elaborate instead of just, I don't know. I don't know what was real, and I don't know what I experienced. But yeah. So I guess before we started, Jimmy, we're talking about what was it, the Anunnaki and that type of stuff?
Yeah, I was. But let me tell you my little story first.
Okay.
So I have 2 experiences with unidentified flying objects. One as a child and one as an adult.
Okay.
And as a child, I was raised in the Mojave Desert in California. And there's a lot of, speculation of different UFOs coming in and out of there. But I can corroborate this story with my childhood friends that were with me at this time, because we all sat there and looked at it and went, what the heck is that? And why is it just sitting there? Why hasn't it moved yet? What is it doing? So I think we were in. No, I know I was sitting in Barstow, California, and I was looking to what I would say the east at the time. So and we were sitting on our street and we were skateboarding and stuff when we happened to see it. And I was like, "Hey, what is this?" to one of my friends, and they were like, "I don't know. What is that?"
Now, is this during the day or nighttime?
This is during the day, broad daylight, clear skies, and it was absolutely killing. It was far enough away. Well, I didn't have a camera back then as a kid, or one of the little, disposable cameras or whatever, or video camera or phone. I would say this was in the mid 80s, late 80s. Or almost, yeah, had to be mid 80s. So, the technology what we have today doesn't, nearly exist. So anyway, it sat there for a good 20 minutes, and it didn't move from one spot, and it wasn't coming, it wasn't going, it didn't move left, right, sideways, forward. It was stationary, like perfectly. And we thought something was going on, because we called it, we were like, what is that UFO doing out there? And we actually called it a UFO because we were like, that's not a plane, it's not doing anything. But it was far enough away to not clearly see it, but we knew it didn't have wings. And it looks kind of like a saucer shaped, you know what I mean? But it was a dark in color saucer shape, and I don't know if it was because it had a shadow on it or what. But it was pretty much late afternoon when we looked at it, and it stayed there for like a good 20 minutes, and then then we were like, okay, because we all gathered on the corner to watch it,
right.
And then all of a sudden, poof, it was gone, like nothing. And so later on in life, and I've served in the military and whatnot. And I think I was still in the military, and I was in Central Texas, and I was sitting in my backyard, and it was pretty late at night. And I was just looking at the stars in awe on how many I could see. And I used to like looking at the stars, because I used to look through like the night vision goggles and stuff and try to watch the satellites, see if I could spot the satellites and stuff moving across the sky. So I used to watch those all the time. So at one night I looked, and I found something moving, and then it stopped, and it was brighter than like the normal satellites with the naked eye. And I was like, what is that? And I would laugh to myself. I was like, man, you just watched a UFO. And I'm like, to myself, I'm talking to myself at this point, saying, no, I'm not watching this. Nothing's going to happen. And I'm going to tell you what, I sit there for maybe 30 to 45 seconds after it got into spot. And I'm going to tell you, I know you've watched Star Trek and all that stuff, where stuff just takes off and it like leaves a little stream behind it. I'm going to tell you, that's exactly what it did. And I went inside after that, because I was like, no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. I'm seeing things. That had to have been a shooting star. It had to be something. I couldn't explain it. But after looking back and looking at what I saw, I watched it stop mid-sky, you know what I mean, in the dead of night, and I'm watching stars still move, and I can see satellites that are slowly streaming across the sky, up there, and I seen this one stop, and like I said, it was brighter than the others. It was brighter than the stars, and I literally watched it just speed away like it was nothing, and it scared the hell out of me. And so I never actually told anybody that. So you guys are the first ones I've told.
Oh, cool.
So
that was my two experiences that I've had.
See, I've I think I brought it up before. Like, our universe is so massive that it would have to be almost theoretically impossible that there is not another life form, whether similar to us. And if you go by the infinite universe kind of thing, well, then there should be an absolute probability that there's, us are doing this exact same thing right now, blah, blah, blah. But I remember. Oh fuck! Now I just lost my train of thought. God damn it! The fuck was I just?
You remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Shit, I forgot.
I totally just did. Wow.
Okay, well, while you're trying to
Oh.
remember, when you're talking about like the lights in the skies, there was my two stories. One, my mom had seen I guess 3 dots in the sky when she was in Saskatchewan. And these dots in the sky, they were all kind of together in like a triangular shape. And they were all just in the sky. They stopped. And then they went choo, all in separate directions. I remember her telling me that story many years ago. And then there was one time, there's been a couple times seeing things in the sky, but which I couldn't really explain. But I know one time I thought I was watching 2 satellites, and they were coming from opposite directions. So it was like going north-south, right, in the sky. And they're going towards each other. And I remember thinking, these things are going to crash. Like, they're totally going to crash into each other. And as they started getting closer, the one that was going from north to south kept going. But then the other one had stopped just before it got to it and then went choo, right up straight and then disappeared. And I was like, okay, that wasn't a satellite. I don't know what that was, but that was not a satellite that would just do that, just randomly in the complete opposite direction.
Well, and hearing the with the stories from Bob Lazar and him saying like how they basically warped gravity around them, which if you can influence gravity, okay, well that's you don't have like all the traditional things that we have an issue with, in terms of like drag,
time or space or drag.
Yeah. So like, and how they kind of orient themselves, that how they apparently distort reality around them, or at least the gravity around them. And I can, okay, I'll give that. The dude's fucking a lot smarter than me. Like, dude built a rocket engine car just for shits and giggles.
Do you imagine seeing that thing? Like, honestly, like just imagine like looking outside, or you're doing some yard work and you just see this thing just go drive by. You'd be like, what the fuck?
That loud whistling of a turbine engine.
Like, did I just see that? Is this Back to the Future shit?
But I guess what I was going to say was, so I remember seeing there was one documentary that I seen, and it was people that were talking about like supernatural stuff, and when people would say like they got abducted by aliens and that type of stuff, and there was like a direct correlation between like movies or any type of like media where they would say like the little green men or little gray men with big eyes and long arms, big head, that kind of thing, that they became more and more prominent, and the story would change in terms of like how a movie depicted aliens. Like, they might look like, what was it? It came from the Black Lagoon or whatever.
Yeah, I still think that UFOs are different than aliens, though. That's just my perspective.
How?
Yeah.
Like, so, hold on. Okay. Tyler, if you're not done saying what you're saying, we'll circle back to that. Continue.
Okay. So, and hearing like, and I used to listen like coast to coast with Art Bell. I listened to it just because it was fun and like funny, and most of the time I like in my own head I was making fun of these people to an extent. Like, I'm not trying to be like rude, but I was like, some people make such outlandish accusations. Okay, like, big accusations require big evidence, and they just say, "Oh, I seen it. Yeah, I seen it. Therefore, it's 100% true." Yeah. Okay, that's good for campfire stories. But
yeah, entertainment purposes only. Yeah. Actually, oddly enough, after our last podcast, I went and I looked for Coast to Coast and found the AM channel on YouTube. So I started listening to it again.
Okay. But so the point I was going to make was, so you guys remember Kym, maybe you might remember it more. what was that movie with the kids with all the blonde hair and they would like
Village of the Damned.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that movie.
Okay, so I remember seeing that movie, and then it was like a couple years later, like recently, like maybe 10 years ago, relatively recently. Okay, relax. And so someone was, I think it was George. Was it George Knapp? Who's the new guy? It was Art Bell, but now it's George Knapp.
Oh, on
right?
the Coast to Coast?
Yeah, it was Art Bell.
No, it's
I
George
don't think it's Art Bell.
Norrie.
George Norrie, that's it. George Norrie. Yes.
The only reason I know that is because, again, I just finished looking him up.
Yes, George Norrie, his interesting little intro about something Scirocco blazing through the whatever. But so he was saying, there's been sightings of these children with blonde hair, blue eyes, and would go to people's houses asking to be let in. I'm like, come on, dude. That's literally a movie. You say like they would mind control people, and these people would start like doing weird things. I'm like, that's a fucking movie. That's a movie. Literally a movie.
Yeah.
So that kind of cast some doubt on it. But yeah, it was just so, I don't know. It like that type of stuff cast suspicion. Like, okay, come on, man. It was a movie. It was a hit movie. It wasn't like some obscure cult classic, or not even a cult classic. If it was obscure, it wouldn't be a cult classic. Some obscure piece of whatever, a movie that no one ever seen, but that was a very well-known movie. And
yeah, Kirstie Alley was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
actually, with that too, there's this show that I started watching on Netflix. It's called Manifest, and if anybody hasn't watched that, they should really check it out because it's actually a really good show. But anyway.
Yeah, that's the one where they disappeared for like 5 or 10 years, 50. Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yes. So Cliff Notes version, I'm not going to give away the entire show, but essentially these people go on a plane. They get on the plane. They do their flight, and then they land. And when they land, there's a bunch of cops and stuff around, and everybody's very confused as to what's going on. Apparently, their however many hour flight was actually 5 years. So to them, they didn't age, they didn't do anything because they were only on a couple hour flight. But to the rest of the world, that plane disappeared 5 years ago, and they came back completely unaged. And like one kid, he had a twin sister. So the twin sister's now 15, he's still 10. So it's just kind of, what?
No, sorry. Finish your, it's just kind of.
Okay. Anyway, so this is what the story is about. And as I'm watching the show, one of our kids was like, oh yeah, well this actually really happened, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I happened to look up, there was actually a story, and I was reading it, and it was very captivating. I was actually totally getting into it, and this flight had actually disappeared for like 39 years. And when they found it, the people weren't still alive. However, they were claiming that the skeletons were perfectly preserved. Everyone was still in their seats, buckled in, and the plane had landed. And they were just full of skeletons and dead people. However, the story was completely debunked after I did some more digging into it, because I was totally going to talk about this story on one of our episodes, but it ended up, I debunked it, so it was a little unfortunate.
There was a thing on the a show that I watched where it said after there was a plane that did land in like South America after some 25, 30 years, they landed. And the plane was old, and the people were looking about, why is this plane here, stuff like that. And then it took off and never landed again. It got fuel and left.
What? Huh?
Yeah.
Weird.
Wow. Well, I remember, so I think they recently found Amelia Earhart's plane, or at least they believe that they did.
They might have found, yeah.
Here they found it, doesn't it raise a whole bunch of other issues now? Because
look, she was captured by the Japanese. Her plane was put on a float, and the Japanese took that plane.
Well,
I'm telling you, there's pictures of it, of the plane on a pontoon after she was supposedly downed, and with her like supposedly on a dock, like
I saw
being
those
captive.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she didn't die on some island.
Well, that's what I was just
I think
hearing.
she,
That
if anything, she was executed by the Japanese.
what, and then put on this island?
And then no, there's no proof that that's her on the island. People speculating.
Well, they're saying that she had like cream that she wore on her face, and it was like period, like very period specific. And they did find wreckage of the plane or not necessarily the wreckage. Yeah, I think it was wreckage
We
at
found wreckage
close to
of
this island.
a plane, but not hers.
Yeah, well, I'm very, very remotely remembering. But only thing that I do remember when I was hearing about this was there was coconut crabs, and they are actually very aggressive, and they're very, very powerful. And so the
Coconut crabs?
possible what?
Coconut crabs?
Yeah. Oh, they're huge. They are huge. And so I guess, yeah. So the theory is, well, apparently they taste like coconut because all they eat is coconuts. But they will kill like other animals if given the opportunity. So the kind of theory was that they end up getting to this island and the coconut crabs ripped her apart and her co-pilot.
Holy shit, that's huge.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my god, this doesn't even look real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're only on this one island.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with no UFO.
No, it doesn't, but it was just interesting. Yeah, see, I said, I do think that they are a real thing, but some of the stories, like I said, you hear, and you know, the kind of theory that those encounters seem to tie in with movies.
Well, I do believe that there are unidentified craft out there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe that there's aliens on them? No.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, again, I keep telling you that we are the aliens.
Quite possible.
I had heard a theory that somebody was talking about that where the aliens aren't actually like what you would think of your traditional aliens being, that they're actually just like us in the future. Like that's kind of what we evolved to start looking like with all the screens that we're on, and
so what happens when your body is not? So what happens to your body if it doesn't have gravity 100% of the time, and you're in space for decades or hundreds of years? You know, what would happen to you?
Get very thin.
Did they do a real life test?
Right, your muscle, you wouldn't need any muscle mass. Your skeleton system would become more flexible and more, you know what I mean? So your head would get bigger. You would get skinnier. Your arms would be longer. Your legs would be longer. You'd basically stretch out a little bit because there's nothing holding you or stopping you from growing.
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember if it was real, but they did with some types of embryos, and they noticed like I can't remember if it was. I don't think it was actually people. I might be wrong with that, or unless it was just kind of like theory of what an embryo or a child being born in space would be, all like stretched out and all.
So like, a good way to look at that, I think, you know, TV does portray one show that, or you know, the media, I would say entertainment industry does make it so you could see what it looks like if you've spent a long time or were in space for a long time. And it gives a really good example. And you ever watch? It's on Amazon. And I'll tell you the name of it here real quick.
Oh, but so while you're looking that up, so I guess with Dom's idea, technically it's true. Like it is possible. So just think about this. So the quickest point to a distance is, you know, a straight line. So time and what?
What are you talking about? Whose idea?
So Dom, our child, right? You were talking about him, that he was saying that it was kind of real.
I didn't say any name, but okay.
Oh,
it's called The Expanse. Sorry.
I remember hearing about that.
The Expanse is an awesome show, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, I just recently heard about that.
Yeah, dude, watch it from season 1. It's amazing.
Well, but so if time is kind of relative, fuck you. So time is kind of relative to, the gravity well that a planet exerts. So if the Earth is traveling at its constant, it's at its speed, if you go up, so if you went to the moon, the people that actually went down to the moon and came back down are something like 8 milliseconds or something back, like in the past.
Right. So that's what they're talking about, the people in space that spend time on the space station and stuff.
Yeah.
If you spend a year in space, then you're actually, the time is a little bit slower for you than it is for the people on Earth.
Yeah, that's so.
So if you watch Interstellar, that's a great example of it.
Yeah. Yeah, being sucked into what was he, a black hole, or was it a wormhole?
Yeah, the further you go away from Earth, the further time slows down for you, and you could set your watch from the day you leave to what's on Earth, and then when you get back, it's going to be a later time than what you have on your watch, because the Earth constantly is going around in circle with gravity and time, and out in space there's no such thing as that gravity and days and nights. And
yeah, so it's like it's like a very minuscule thing, like people up in the International Space Station, when they come back down, I think it's like 8 milliseconds. It's a very minor thing, but it does prove that time acts differently. So I wonder if like the whole pushes, or to try to get to Mars, and I wonder how much time would pass for them. Like, would they actually be, like, how much younger would those people actually be? I'm sure it'd be like, well, they're like 2 seconds younger.
Well, it's going to be minuscule, because that's still within our solar system. But the minute you leave our solar system, the further you get away from Earth, you know what I mean? The more time has elapsed on Earth. Yeah.
So to go back to that same, well, I guess it'd be the idea of if you went to Mars and then came back, because you'd have to still reach that, that same point in space. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about like interstellar or like interplanetary travel.
Well, that's why you have cryosleep.
Yeah.
When they're developing that right now. So,
well, is it Walt Disney? Isn't his head like in cryosleep? And
I don't care about people's
just his head. That's the only thing that was worth saving. Just the head. Okay.
Well, you strap it to a robot, and then you got.
That sounds something like a teenager would tell some little girl. Just the head.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to what you said, I'm trying to understand. Okay, never mind. Okay, so you don't technically believe in aliens because you think that it's just us in the future. Is that correct?
I think it's our race, period. Whether it's from the future or now, and again, we've talked about the time when the moon wasn't there, and we have history saying when the moon arrived. So we got people now saying that the moon is a secret base or whatever. No one knows about that. I don't know. But it's kind of weird that the moon is in its place. It never spins. It's always pointed at the same direction. It always rotates at the same, it rotates around the Earth the same. It's exactly what it's. I got to remember the size of the Earth versus the sun. It's exactly the right size where you could get a full eclipse. You know what I mean? It's astronomical, the amount of what ifs about the moon, but
I've
without the moon, we wouldn't have tide. You know what I mean? So the tides and the moon and all that stuff plays effect. And you know what happened when the moon got into place, and how did that affect the evolution on Earth?
never
Well,
even
I remember
thought of the fact
Yeah.
that literally when I look up at the moon, it always looks the same. Like I can never see the other
Right.
side. You always see the
Well,
Mhm.
face in the moon all the time.
it's tidally locked with Earth, and that's not an
Right.
uncommon thing. Like for that's like for a satellite to orbit a planet and be tidally locked. That's not uncommon.
It's the fact that it doesn't spin itself.
Well, but that's being tidally locked. Tidally locked means that it's always something
Yeah.
is always facing the same side. So, as far as my understanding goes, that's not that unusual of a I don't know, I guess of an occurrence in space. But because I remember, I think we were talking about this earlier, like with Egypt, and the pyramids are built in relation to Orion's belt, and the Egyptians were, I guess, technologically, and I've heard contradicting information that we do not have the technology now to move those stones that they did, and where they had to have gotten them was like hundreds of miles away.
Well, that's proven already
So-
that the quarry that those rocks came from were far away.
Really?
The problem, yeah, I mean, but what they're saying is how it was built is they had to build a bridge with those same stones up to the top, and then basically use those same stones from the bridge to continue what they were building. You know, but even that kind of logistic is a hell of a nightmare.
Yeah,
Because of the slope and all that. You know what I mean? That's someone was playing with gadgets that we don't know about today.
Well, yeah, and that's been the thought. Like, it's literally thousands of stones. And I seen one guy saying that in order, like, to cut through the rock and to do, everything, it would take something like, I think it was 274 years of constant work
Holy shit.
to move these blocks. But I don't know, some people have said that that they did have ways to slide these rocks or to roll them into place, and then they just kind of walk with them, but you still gotta move those fucking things.
Yeah, you gotta move them, you gotta hoist them, and then they put all the carvings into them, and it's not like it's just one solid thing on top. Like, you can actually go into them. Like, it's weird.
And they were covered in limestone, I believe.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which is now decayed,
Yeah.
so that tells you
Yeah.
how long it's been there.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, and like, it's like stuff like that. It's, well, the what was it, the Aztecs? A lot of them, they were fascinated with mathematics and the way that they seem to move, and some of their hieroglyphics, or I guess at least
Where we got our calendars from.
Yeah, like the hieroglyphics in Egypt were depicting like a chariot pulling the sun, and that could potentially be spaceships, and how people have elongated their heads, which is a sign of beauty, or they kind of imitate influential people. Like, think of today, like a couple years ago, chicks weren't shaving like the side of their head, but someone with enough influence and someone that they want to be like, okay, well, that starts to become a thing. So
All the plastic surgery and stuff like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so
girls
it's,
walking around with giant booties now because of the Kardashians.
Yeah. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we were visited. I think it'd be quite possible. I don't see why it couldn't be, and maybe they're just kind of hanging around, like, yeah, making sure that we don't.
Like I said before, we call ourselves humans of Earth right now. What were we before?
I guess it depends what theory
right.
you're subscribing to.
I mean, technically, again, I know that different humans have different aspects of them all over this world, and there's a reason why humans have different aspects of every place on Earth that has something different about them. You know,
You mean like evolutionary speaking?
I mean, evolutionary. Yeah, we'll just do evolutionary speaking. So, you know, people of Africa are colored. You know what I mean? And their hair is different. Then you go to Iraq, their hair is finer, but they're still darker in color. You go to, you know what I mean? You go, you know, to you swing east a little bit, and you're going to have China. So you have people that are whiter, but their eyes are a little bit different, and their noses are a little bit different. You know what I mean? And their hair is a little bit different. You know, everybody's food sources are a little bit different. So I'm pretty sure that plays a big factor into it as well. So, I mean, you go to Alaska with the Eskimos, or you go to Russia, or you go to anywhere you go in this world, you're going to find different variants of the human species. And to get those different variants of human species, it's just not about a million years of evolution. That's about a few million years of evolution. You know what I mean? Because you just don't move there and that happens. You adapt to your climate, and it takes a million years for one thing to change. So
I think that's more like a major like a major
isn't pigment in your skin a major thing? Isn't the way your hair develops a major thing?
Eye color.
Your eye colors, everything. I mean, that's a huge thing. How tall you are, your body's got to adjust to the food, the types of food that you're eating. I mean, Asian folks, you know, their hair stays black until forever. When's the last? You see an Asian person with gray hair, that means they're like 110.
Right? I know.
You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's the same thing with colored folks.
They got their skin.
Colored women and colored men, they look really young for what they are.
Yeah. They may get gray hair, but their skin,
right.
Black don't crack.
So so again, I guess you have different aspects of humanity and the human race, you know what I mean, that are all over this planet. And yes, they're different. But why are they different? How long did it take for them to become different? If everybody came from the Garden of Eden, okay, how long does it take for the world to be populated the way it is? How long does it take for all of the different variations of human evolution to take place so that everybody is the way they are today? Off of one individual or two individuals. How long do you think that would take mathematically?
Well, I think we're kind of convoluting two stories, because the story of Adam and Eve, which I don't subscribe to,
and it's not Adam and Steve either.
Yeah, don't forget that. I think us in our kind of contemporary form, I think we're about 200,000 years old.
Nah, older, way older. And I'm going to say, which factor of humans, how many times have the human race been dwindled down to nothing and then repopulated on this?
Well, there's been at least once. At
least once that is recorded.
Yeah, and we can actually see that in the fossil record that after. I believe it wasn't Krakatoa, or was it Krakatoa?
So we know we survived the Ice Age somehow, some way, whether in the caves in Turkey or whatever. However, life sustained itself, but the human population has dwindled down to almost nothing a few times, and came back.
Yeah, there was because I know, like, us. We're like a different offshoot of apes. I know Neanderthals were one subsect of a human, or I guess.
Okay. Well, so how did that evolution happen between that ape and us?
So my thought would be, so we come from a one type of ape that has.
Do you think it's because we started eating meat and the proteins changed our brain, and so we reached a point of evolution where we just couldn't turn back and we started using our thumbs and making tools?
It's quite possible.
And you said that took 200,000 years?
Well, I think in our current iteration, like how we are now, I think goes back about 200,000 years. But I think humans have been around. Well, I don't know what.
So you got to think. You can think medieval times. Okay, so you think between what the Bible says and human creation. Okay, and then you think, okay, medieval times. Then you think technology, Bronze Age, Iron Age. All this stuff goes on, and then we start having, oh my gosh, the impacts of technology. So if you look at the point of technology that the humans race have gone, where did we get the help from? So look from 1900 to now. How is it that we got the technology where we're at today?
Well, it could
Aliens.
be that there was an outside influence, but I'm looking at this is from medium.com, and it shows like the different types of humans, or I guess of animals, humanoids, that were kind of so this one's predating 1.9 million years old of a primitive human skull. And then I guess, well, they used to fight each other. I'm sure they fought each other. So I don't know.
Do you have a link to that?
Yeah, I'll there, I just shared it with you guys. So
Whoa.
it is showing like with Neanderthals, and then Homo sapien idaltu and Homo floresiensis. Then Denisova. So I guess there's the, like, if this is one skull is 1.9 million years old, which of like a proto-human, that's a lot of fucking time, an insane amount of time.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way that this has just happened over a 200,000 year thing, or humans have been around for, you know what I mean? Like the Bible says, 8,000 years or whatever.
Yeah, which
makes no sense. I mean, great. It's a great story, and I love that people want to believe in something, and I believe in the higher power as well. Don't get me wrong. There has to be. But the way technology and the way the human population on this planet develops at the rate that it does, there has to be something else that we're missing.
Well, I guess our human record is still being updated and changed, but I can see. So okay, let's say if us in our current iteration, like I said, I don't know if it's actually 200,000, but let's just, whatever, for argument's sake, let's say they're, humans in their current form are about 200,000 years old. I think the original idea, like 200,000 years old, I think most people lived to 40, 50, most of that period.
Right, but what happened to the period where people used to live to be 600 to 900 years old?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, you're making big claims here. What?
Do your little internet search. Have people ever lived to be 600 years old? Well, there's stories in the Bible as well where people used to live to be, a rough old age of 600. And if you look at the ages of like Moses' dad and stuff like that, you got to follow. You got to follow some of this too, right? Some of this is history. You got to follow these stories to understand the true history. Is what I'm saying. And you got to understand too that, I mean, and they say that the reason why we don't live so long is because of the preservatives in food and because of sin and whatnots, but something happened. Why does our body age the way it does?
If it's some religious thing,
I'm not going to be in a religious thing. No, absolutely not.
So, because everything that I'm looking at, it all has to do with Bible stuff, and I don't know. I
think what they're trying to say is that depiction of time is based on different linears throughout history. And when I say someone lived 500 years, 500 years to them might not be 500 years to me, based on their calculations or whatever. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
So, they said, God took 7 days or whatever to create heaven and hell, earth, all that stuff, whatever. Okay, well, 7 days to God. Well, there was no time invented when God created the earth, right? Supposedly, or the universe.
Yeah.
So how do you know it was 7 days? Because 7 days to him is 7 days different than us.
Well, for someone that has nothing,
right?
Yeah, time is.
So 7 years irrelevant. Might be 7 million to me and you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So again, everything's perspective. Now, I don't believe everything I hear and everything I read because there's no true. I can't be for sure 100%. I'm 99% sure sometimes when I get some facts, but you can never be too true or too, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. You can never be too sure about the information you're getting unless you have hard facts backing that stuff up. And then you got to look at, well, who's creating these facts? Where are these facts coming from? Are those people reputable?
Well, according to to some historians, that the Bible is written 500 years after,
right, exactly.
Jesus had lived. So
right. So again, it's stories based off someone else that knew someone back in the day that told them a story, whatever. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I don't know, hearing. I get the point that you're trying to make, but in a factual context, like if someone says, "Oh, we lived," people used to live for 900 years old. Like this is saying, it was like Adam lived to be 930. His son Seth was 912. Freaking Noah was 950. Okay, I guess if you in our current iteration of time, okay, well, what's 950 years if you don't have like our typical like Gregorian calendar? Well, that could be what, every time a full moon? They could say that? Like I don't know.
No clue.
So that's where I don't know. Like I could see like with the Bible, like I could see like there's been arguments, and some people have kind of argued back that potentially the Bible was written in like during like Roman rule, during the Roman Empire, and it was used as like an allegory for how Rome was. Okay, and then there were some that, well, some of these things could have been true, even though, they found the Shroud of Turin and the dates were completely off, like not even remotely close, like 1,000 years off. The spear of, what was it, the Spear of Destiny or whatever? The thing that stabbed Jesus. They said that that date's all wrong with that. So they found Noah's Ark. Well, they carbon dated that, and that was way off in time. The Tower of Babel. Apparently, the Tower of Babel did actually exist.
It's in Iraq. It sure did.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's believable.
A tower of named Babel was in Iraq. Now, how high it was or how big it was a totally different story.
Yeah. Well, and they said that the room at the top was for the gods, and they built everything was of the highest quality, like gold. Fine silks, spices were inside this room, and it was so when the gods came down to earth, they had a place to stay. And you can actually find the ruins. But
this is what I'm saying. If we had outside influence, right?
That's that's the point
and,
I was going to make.
and people are, and I agree that there's been some outside influence but I do think that it's us with our DNA. They can't even prove half of our DNA. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of the Earth is made up of the same DNA. So, I don't know. Could it have been millions and billions of years ago that this planet was seeded? You know what I mean? To do a certain thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I believe that there was people that visited this planet long ago? Yeah, I do believe that. Do I believe they had some kind of spaceship? Yeah, I do. But I don't think they were aliens. I think that they were, and people called them gods because they were more technological than us. Hell, you can go to a third world country right now, and we fly a helicopter over. They're going to be like, "What is that? You're a god."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it just depends on the aspect, because back then they didn't have the vocabulary and everything that we have now. So they can't put into words back then what we can put into words now.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a very good point. Like, if we seen our technology 200 years ago,
we'd freak out.
Holy shit! Yeah, like if someone came to you and said, we just started colonizing, the like North America is, starting to become more and more colonized.
It's just like they say. It's like they say with computer chips, right? So the first Pentium was made in 1970, right? And then actually computers started and all that stuff. So it took 30 years to get to a Pentium 4.
I think computers were what in the
so they say now 50s? They say now every 18 months our computer processing doubles.
Yeah, that's
so you can imagine what our technology is going to be in another 200 years.
Well, I think they are starting to hit a cap with computers. The fuck is that law called? Moore's law. That's it. Moore's the observation that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. And then, so there is the idea that, I guess, with Moore's law, that we are starting to hit that cap. But now quantum computers are starting to become a thing.
Exactly.
How could you possibly be hitting a cap? If you actually look at what our technology was when you and I were kids to teenagers, those old yellow-looking computers that you had that was literally like DSL. Freaking dial up and everything was in codes. Like
just think about the internet.
Now you have a phone in your hand.
From dial-up AOL to what we have now. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, yes. So I'm looking at. So they're saying from 2000 to 2009 there has not really been much of a speed difference, as the speeds range from 1.3 gigahertz to 2.8, which suggests that the speeds have barely doubled within a 10-year span. This is because we are looking at the speeds and not the number of transistors. In 2000, the number of transistors numbered 37.5 million, while in 2009, the number went up to an outstanding 904 million. But so there is the idea that we are starting to, space can only, things can only get so small before the technology has to take sorry to make the pun, but has to make a quantum leap. It has to. So that's where quantum computers that are, they're getting better with them, which can do equations significantly faster than the technology that we have now. And it's, I don't know. Like I remember seeing, I think it was at the Norse. It was either Norse or maybe it was the Norse. But they were saying that their gods came on chariots from the sky. And they came down and they ended up drawing these people. Well, and they had
the word for vehicle back then that carried a person was called a what? It's called a chariot because they didn't have any other word.
Yeah. Yes. I believe it was the Norse. So like I said, I think, definitely we've been visited. It seems like it's happened, and they just didn't know, like you said, they didn't know what to call them. I think it was Thor or something like that. Like they depicted him and he looked like, not how we picture, the Norse gods of today, but it's
I mean, they don't look like Chris Hemsworth?
no.
Damn
They
it.
actually look like, they actually look like, actually look all like kind of funny looking, if I remember correctly. I might be totally
Man.
wrong, but it's been a while since I looked into this, but I don't know. I won't look into it.
Either
right
way,
now, but
there's some type of craft.
Yeah.
That's able to manipulate the Earth's gravity. That's able to go underwater, go through the air, and to go into space like it's nothing. Now, I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you how it's made. I can tell you that it's real because I've seen it.
Well, and I've experienced weird things, but I do remember hearing a story about when guys would be testing out new aircrafts, and they would see, it was a fighter pilot talking about it, and they would see like, someone with a fire, in the clearing, and they would turn their jet engines off, and then they would kind of just coast into where this place is, and then they turn the plane up, and they turn on the afterburners, and they said, like, sure as shit, the next day we would get stories about, in this area of a UFO spacecraft being seen. It's like, I fucking did it. We're screwing with people. So, I'm sure there is some of that, but yeah, all the stories, like I said, I can, I wouldn't say I'm a believer, but I just think logically that it has to be, it's possible. It's very possible. Fuck it. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about like Area 51 and stuff? Do you believe that there is an Area 51? Do you believe that they have found actual spacecrafts or parts of spacecrafts or alien bodies or whatever?
If you believe the story from Bob Lazar, everyone knows Area 51. They don't even use Area 51 much anymore. I think they use like Area, is it like S9? I think it's S9 is the one that they tend to use a lot more. But yeah, like the Skinwalker Ranch kind of thing. I don't know.
I remember seeing that one episode with Joe Rogan, where Joe Rogan questions everything. He went to the Skinwalker Ranch or whatever. It's a little disappointing. I think we were all hoping to see something.
Well, and like I said, if you believe what Bob Lazar said, okay, then then it's very true of these, of the stories that yes, these crafts were recovered, and we're just trying to reverse engineer them, and they've gotten them to work. They just don't know how to recreate it.
What about you, Jimmy?
What about me?
Do you believe in places like Area 51 or
Area 51 is a proven place that does test aircraft. And I don't know if they would actually do underground testing or making new stuff there, since it's well known. They do, like I say, they do test new aircraft and new stuff out there, but I don't think that they would be taking anything. I think that's a propaganda thing with the aliens and stuff. I think that if we were going to hide something somewhere, we wouldn't talk about it, about a possible location.
Well, I mean, it's not like the people who have worked there have come out and talked about it. It's always people who
there has been a couple of people that have come out of there that talked about how they were working on new technology, which is absolutely true.
Yeah,
because you didn't even know about the F-119 or the FF-17 before it came out, before the Gulf War came out. Yeah, you had no idea that you had no idea that those planes existed until we went to war.
Yeah.
So
the SR-71 came out of there too.
Yeah, the SR-71 came out of Skunk Works as well, and so, but you had the stealth bomber that we have that's not even active anymore. It's been mothballed.
Yeah.
So
They're old
it's
B2s. I believe
the
B2s came out of there
B-117s.
too.
I think it's B-117s. Yeah, the whole flat wing project all came out of BSA. I mean, that's just open airspace. You could test without, in privacy. But as far as having aliens down there and stuff like that, I don't believe that. I don't believe they have an alien craft down there. Now, do I believe that they're working on some high technology stuff down there? Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as if I wanted to have aliens and to alien technology like they talked about, I would have it under some private company's information so they can't be asked if you have it.
Yep.
So if you're under a government contract, you're required to release information because of the Release of Information Acts. So if you want something hidden, then you put it privatized and you'll never know.
Yeah, that's why private companies they can hide a lot of this type of information.
Exactly. So there's no reason to even think that anything's at Area 51 other than the Air Force and the Army and whoever, NASA, doing testing out there on stuff that's probably going to help us in the future. But I don't think it's alien. No.
Yeah, take out them commie scum.
So
right. I mean, some people still living in the Cold War aspect of their lives, I guess. I don't know.
So then, what are your thoughts on people who claim to be or to have been abducted, or the crop circles that you see, stuff like that?
We've already known that crop circles are fake.
Yeah.
Because if I look at the crop circles, I can see exactly where the tractor came in and plowed it over.
I will say that the crop circle things, I believe that those are fake too. But I will also give a shout out to whoever's doing them. They look pretty.
They're badass.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they're badass. I'm going to give you those guys have thought out some stuff, and they're pretty badass. They made some pretty cool designs, and it's all based off math. So
yeah, I remember seeing a thing from Penn and Teller bullshit, and they say like guys would basically just take a plank of board with a string, and a couple of them in a night, just with a board and a string. Yeah, they can make those circles, and then they come back.
You're just squashing down the corn or whatever, Yeah, that's all you're doing.
Yeah, so
or you're dragging it along behind you, in a way that is measured.
Yeah. So they're cool. Like I think, like for temporary art, they're pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They make great pictures and stuff. But no, I don't. Yeah. Do I think they're real? Absolutely not. Well, they are real, but they're not made by aliens. They're not trying to tell us anything.
Okay, so then what about abductions and stuff?
As far as abductions, when you look at abductions and you look at going back to the 50s or 40s when all this stuff started happening, and you get, police officer sightings, or they find people 3 days later walking on the side of the road with no clothes on or whatever. I honestly, I don't know. Now, is it a possibility that one of our friendly visitors that are not aliens, but are probably part of creating this world and probably keep an eye on us to make sure we don't destroy it again? Maybe they need us to, probably like they say, maybe they lost the ability to do certain things and they need our help via, checking our organs or implementing something into someone's organs where they can be tracked, or they can put a, help. Maybe they're the ones giving us advancement through, DNA or something like that. So your offspring comes out a little different than you do. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't even want to speculate on that because, people can say whatever they want. And all I got to do is put down my phone and walk out the door and, hide at someone's house for 3 days and then walk down the highway. Someone said, someone, I don't know how I got here.
Yeah.
So,
that could be someone on a bender, or
right. It could be anything. It could be someone injected them with drugs and was trying to do tests on them or whatever. But because we already know that our government has done tests on people many, 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 many times without telling people. Yeah. So, it's not without question that they could say it's alien, but what if it was our own government doing it? We don't know.
Charles Manson. Just saying.
We don't know.
Oh, well, like
Just like the guys down at Tuskegee and all that stuff, where they were given syphilis and all that other stuff. No, the government's done testing on people, so I can't rule out that the government didn't start testing back then on different people that wouldn't impact the whole population. But they're going to be like, well, if they say anything, they're going to think they're crazy anyway, so just let them go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I think me and Kym, we talked about the Tuskegee in Tuskegee. Yeah, they gave him syphilis, and instead of actually giving him the medication, they just watched him die and seen what happened. Or Operation Midnight Climax, or MK Ultra.
Yeah, I mean, so the government's been doing testing on people a while. So if people say, well, yeah, it was aliens, well, you don't know who did it to you, because you can call them alien because you're unsure of who did it.
Yeah.
So again, and not alien, I would say government did it, but not aliens.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's such a.
Oh, sorry.
No, what?
I was just going to say, it reminds me of an episode of X-Files where Scully, she was thought to be abducted and stuff like that, and would get like flashbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the smoking man abducted her, impregnated her, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it was government.
It was all government. It's all government conspiracy stuff. If you want to put someone on a wild goose chase, what do? You create a program that you create a. Well, that's not a goose chase. But you start a program and you start spreading rumors about such program which you started, and then guess what? Anybody's mind is going to start from there. You know what I mean? And their imagination is going to go. That's just how it works. If I tell you on a secret level, hey, we got this program over here that's secretly putting cameras in light poles so we can watch our neighborhoods and make sure then you're going to be like, oh, there's cameras in the light poles, blah, blah, blah. It's going to spread.
Yeah.
So, and then it's just going to go haywire from there. So,
well, I don't know, like last episode, me and Kym were talking about that documentary, The Merchants of Doubt, where they were arguing, the same people were arguing for different different political or controversial issues, and they would just question enough where people couldn't make a solid opinion. Like saying like sugar's bad for you. Well, but is sugar really that bad for you? We need more information to study it. Now we know. Like
again, now we're getting into a totally different subject where we get into marketing to make people believe stuff to make money.
Well, so the point that I was going to make was that there were some stories, I guess, in regards to like UFOs, and they just plant these seeds. Like, you don't have to say much. You don't have to say, you don't have to give concrete information. You just sprinkle enough, and you just watch. It's like a wildfire. You just need the initial spark.
Yeah.
And the wind will take care of the rest.
Exactly.
So yeah, you could just say, oh, well, let's say like the whole Roswell thing. Well, it was a weather balloon, and everyone says, a weather balloon? Really? That was a weather balloon? No, that wasn't a weather balloon. And then they say, oh, I don't know what it was. Like, that's all people have to do, and people will buy a lot of it, hook, line, and sinker. So I don't think that it's like world governments are working with aliens to control the population.
No.
I don't know.
Although I do believe that, with just like the COVID stuff and the stuff that's going on now, that is man-made.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they made a hell of a mistake getting that loose.
Oh, getting it loose, and the reaction to it is so much worse than that.
Oh yeah, because people don't. Well, the COVID's not real. Look, the COVID's real, guys. The COVID is real. It's a fact. It's real.
Yeah.
What's not real is the propaganda saying it's not real.
And
so it's killing kids faster than it is grown folks. And kids are going to be living lifetimes now with COVID lung and all this other stuff. Dude, you should realize, I mean, my friend's kid has it, carries it, and doesn't even come up positive.
Yeah.
But him and his wife, they had it bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But their son, they show nothing. Didn't show nothing at all. Went to school, brought it home. They got sick. He didn't.
Yeah. Well, my one of my kids, he got it, and he was on his ass for maybe a day or two, and then you'd have no idea that this kid was, had an illness or was sick. So, no, I'd say that's the bigger government conspiracy. Is not saying that COVID isn't real and it's fake.
Yeah.
No, the conspiracy is the reaction and the what people have done. And I remember seeing, so you remember like the whole Trump and like Space Force and everyone was making fun of him.
I didn't make fun of him.
No, but like it was like, people were saying, oh, what are we going to have, Star Wars? Oh, what?
We had Star Wars when Reagan was in office.
Yeah, they were making fun of the Iron Dome thing, a Star Wars defense. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but those are just straight sheets of titanium metal that will just obliterate an area without the radiation fallout.
Well, there was what's happening like with Israel and Gaza? Like that was the Star Wars defense that everyone made fun of. Well, it saved Israel from rockets from Gaza.
Oh, the Iron Dome?
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah. That's the Iron Dome, which protects Israel.
Yeah. Did I say? Did I call it something else?
I don't know.
Oh, but people were, they were making fun of it. So oh, what is this? Some Star Wars? Oh, who's going to use this stupid thing? Well, Israel invested in it, and they're still standing. In fact, they're surrounded by countries who want their total annihilation.
Yeah, and that's why they have the Iron Dome. It protects them.
Yeah, but
they were already using it this year. So,
oh yeah, to great effect. It's incredible, and it's old technology too.
What?
You don't know about that, Kym?
No.
So Israel and Gaza have always been in like a spitting match with each other.
Lebanon.
Yeah. Was it Lebanon, Turkey, and I think there's one more. But they all want Israel destroyed. So Israel has like a very, very big defense budget, and they have a system that when rockets get sent into Israel, they can send weapons back to intercept these rockets and blow them up before they actually hit buildings.
What?
Oh, yeah, look it up. It was just happening this year. It was a huge story, because people were saying that Israel is the aggressor and no, Gaza, well, I guess Hamas is the aggressor, and that's another one of those, chicken or egg kind of things. But
so what is this thing called?
Iron Dome. You can see it in action. Like there were videos of it. Like something like 8,000 missiles were sent into Israel, and I think all of but like it was like 12 or something actually got through this system. It was like an insane number, like in the high 90% of interceptions. But so everyone was making fun of Trump when he started Space Force. Fuck. Now I forget what I was trying to say.
This is crazy.
What are you watching it all?
Yeah.
Go on.
100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Holy
it was.
Shit.
It's a marvel, and it's old technology. I think it's from the 70s or 80s. But so yeah, everyone was making fun of Trump about Space Force and but that's becoming a real thing. Like they're worried about like satellites becoming weapons and potentially that
they're becoming weapons, not like they already are.
Yeah, they could be. I remember what was it China tried to bring down a satellite and they missed the trajectory, and if it was like think if it came down like 5 seconds earlier, instead of it hitting like in the ocean, it sailed over top of like New York or something like that. But oh fuck, now I forgot the point I was making. But anyways, Trump and Space Force. It's kind of cool. I totally fucking forgot it. All right, but UFOs. I think that actually the only time I ever experienced something that I couldn't explain, I was in my at my grandma's house, and we seen something. It was in the night, and you could see it. It was darting across the night sky, like from don't ask me cardinal directions, but it's just going like from left to right, and then went like up, down, and then you just seen it just zip off into nowhere. I don't know about I don't know what kind of technology we have or can experience for that, but yeah, I don't know. Jimmy, what do you think about like the UFOs, or at least the reports of UFOs actually disabling nuclear sites?
Hey, I believe that it's very possible. I believe that, I mean, there has been videos of them showing them interacting with stuff, and there's been stories about them deactivating nuclear silos.
Yeah,
so
I've heard that.
I mean, like, now whether it was blamed on a UFO or another country disabling them, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I've heard stories that they started arming them remotely, and then they would just disarm them.
They disarmed them.
Yeah, but they would like arm them, show that they could arm them, and then they would just shut the system down, or they one or the other. Like they could override, I guess, whatever safety protocols that these sites have, that they would arm the nuclear, like set it up to launch, and then would deactivate it, or they would deactivate them. And
yeah, I don't know, man.
Like, if that stuff is real, that is holy shit. Yeah, see, I don't know. I see some articles talking about it. Yeah, since 1948, there were reports of UFOs flying over them. Cited back 30 or 40 years and had appeared in magazine articles, books, and websites. Instead of any new evidence or real proof, they offered mere a rehashing of old discredited reports that didn't yield any significant evidence when they were originally reported decades ago. So I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely interesting.
Interesting indeed. Got really quiet there.
Yeah, I don't know. Kym, what about how convinced are you?
How convinced am I about what?
Like aliens are kind of hanging out with us.
Oh yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Okay, if you want to call them aliens, we'll call them aliens. But
well, I mean, they're alien to us, right? So
right.
I think anything could be constituted as being an alien, something that's not
right. There's still stuff in the ocean we don't even know is there.
Exactly.
That's alien to us.
Seen the stuff down there, like in the deep sea that they find. I literally went on this rabbit hole with my kids one day. I was looking up one fish, and we went down this huge rabbit hole for hours, just looking at a bunch of like deep sea fish, and how they are crazy looking down there. Like they are scary. Some of them glow. Like it's weird. They have like lights on them. Like it's so weird. They look like something that should be on another planet.
They look alien?
Yes, exactly. Ooh, that just reminded me of the movie The Abyss. Oh, God, that alien was beautiful in the end. Remember that?
See, but like But like octopus are insanely intelligent.
The mimic
Dolphins.
one, that's fucked. That's not human. I mean, well, obviously it's not human, but that's not from this planet.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that was like something that came here accidentally, or it is so unusual. Or like the Humboldt squid?
Look, remember what I told you about? There's a difference between evolution and revolution. So evolution, it can happen, like I said, both ways. You don't know if something was walking on the dirt before it went into the water and became even smarter, or vice versa. So
yeah, no, and they're I think something like a octopus's eye is like 1,000 times or some insane number. Like, it is insanely complex compared to ours.
Really?
Yeah, I remember seeing a video of let's see, I think it was a Humboldt squid. I think it was a chessboard. The thing was trying to reproduce the shapes of a chessboard. And apparently these things are like, they're colorblind. Trying to see if I can find it right now, but god damn it, all I'm getting is because I put cheese. Fucking idiot. Cuttlefish. That was it.
Which one?
A cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish.
Yeah, cuttlefish.
Sounds like something I'd want to cuddle with.
It's it's like a type of.
It's like, what the funny thing is, in some of these pictures, like the face, it reminded me of my algae eaters at first, until you see the full body.
Yeah, so the
my
cuttlefish, you could see it's attempting to mimic the squares on a chessboard.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, they're
That is
I don't know, there's some stuff in the ocean, like octopus, that will mimic like the texture of like coral, like indistinguishable from coral or sand or their environment.
those mimic squids or octopus, whatever it is. Oh my god, they're creepy.
all right, now that we're officially off the bandwagon.
I don't know if that's really being off the bandwagon, because this thing looks freaking alien to me. Like there's nothing, there ain't nothing normal about this
You
show.
need to spend this weekend watching Caprica. That's all I got to say.
Well, yeah.
Watch Caprica and then watch the last 2 episodes of Battlestar Galactica, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah, see, because like mimic octopus, like they will change, like they'll fake swim and shit, like they'll look like a different fish, and
Yeah.
like, come on,
Right.
like if we didn't know what that was, we would assume that's a fucking alien.
100%.
Like, they are so incredibly unique. Like they're like
being unique called
perfect hunter.
I mean, you're saying unique now. So is it an alien, or is it you just unique?
Just
Both.
It's a unique It's a unique being.
yeah, it is. They're
So we're not going to call them aliens anymore. We're just going to call them unique beings.
yeah, they're unique beings.
I believe that there are beings, whether they're flying around in the sky or just on other planets, that do not look like anything that we would see on Earth. Because I think, personally, I think it would be really ignorant not to think that there's life on other planets. I mean, I can't see everything being completely not inhospitable.
Right. Our
Everything.
technology and our understanding is lacking still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like we know more about space than we do at the bottom of the ocean.
Right? Isn't that crazy? Like, you think that the ocean is more attainable to get to and to explore. And yet,
But you got to understand the pressures that come along with the ocean. They just don't want to waste their time going down. They want to go up.
Yeah, the forces. It's so hard to get.
Human evolution. Everybody always looks to the stars.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like we want to go back home.
Right.
oh my God, I'm sorry. I was just about to shut the page, and I seen this tiny little picture that said Dumbo octopus, so I had to click on it. It is
Dumbo
so
And all of a sudden, you got linked to child porn. Now you're going to jail.
No, this thing is so freaking cute. Oh my God.
You are going to jail. They're coming for you.
Oh,
It's
oh,
so
what the fuck?
cute looking.
See, like there's such weird stuff on this planet.
All right, so we got. Yeah, I'm done. No more weird stuff, okay, guys?
All about the weird stuff, though. I love the weird stuff. Like, there's so much with on Earth and off of Earth that you just there's so many things you can't explain. Like, I don't know. I think
But why can't you explain it?
how can you? How can you explain the way that some of those animals look and fish or whatever it is at the bottom of the ocean, how they can mimic certain things, how they can do
How can
certain
they even be
things,
alive at that pressure?
exactly. How things that are in space, how you see things that look like satellites or like stars that are shooting all over
Is
the
there
place,
anything
going
alive in
weird-
space?
There has to be. I don't know about the air or space itself, but I think
There's
on
no
different
air in
planets-
space.
Yeah, that's why
whatever.
they can't hear you scream.
Oh, that's so creepy. So
There's
just
no air in space.
chirping. Okay, well, their lack of air. See, and that's even weird. The lack of air. What? I don't get it. How do you float in nothingness? There has to be something there.
So, and that's what
There is
there
dark
is.
matter.
Well, there's more than just dark matter, but I mean, to understand our planet is the start. And then you start looking outwards, and then you understand why our planet is the way it is, or how it became to be the way it is. There's a story on that too. You should watch that. It's pretty cool on how air is made for our planet. It is pretty awesome.
Like from trees.
And it's pretty awesome. Watch the documentary on how air is created on Earth, and it's amazing. It comes from sands in Africa to the ocean, plankton to a lot of stuff. It's weird. It's awesome.
Huh.
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's. I don't know.
I mean,
It will blow your mind.
You know, a lot of shit on this planet blows my mind.
right?
Like, I think this planet blows my mind. Like we're just a little marble. It's crazy seeing like photos of Earth from Mars. It's so tiny, and Mars isn't, relatively speaking, it's not that far away. But Earth is like a little dot.
Yeah, everything you ever known on is that little dot.
But it's
Yeah.
also so beautiful, though. Like pictures of the Earth from space, the colors, it is just so aesthetically pleasing.
You got to go outside to see the colors. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't want to go outside.
I'm going outside. That's dangerous out
I
there.
think it would be so cool to be able to see like the northern lights or a storm from space. That'd be just so cool. I will say,
There's videos of it from the International Space Station. They take videos of that stuff all the time.
I know, but to actually like see it, not just on a video. Like, could you imagine being in a spaceship? Which I have no desire in going in a spaceship. I'm just going to say that because the thought of being
Well,
lost
ask
in
Elon.
space scares the shit
He
out of me.
sent four. He
No.
sent four to space. They got back today.
I know. Well, I didn't know that they
Mhm.
got back today,
Mhm.
but I did talk about them. SpaceX sending 4 people up to space for 3 days. That was on one of
Yeah.
our episodes. But I think like I have no desire in going because the thought of being lost in space scares the shit out of me. But
But
To
if
be
you're
able
in
to see
space
that.
in general, aren't you lost?
well, yeah, but like the ship or whatever not working, and I don't know, just all of a sudden breaking down or getting hit by meteors. I don't know, just not being able to come back.
Getting a flat tire in space would suck.
True
No,
story.
they're hit by rocks all the time. Like there's spacesuits get hit by like micro meteorites, and it tears like right through their spacesuits.
Oh hell no!
Mm-hmm. I think on the International Space Station, there's holes in the International Space Station.
His English
like-
is slowly deteriorating
Yeah.
as the night progresses.
Yeah, no, there's like tiny holes, and
no thanks, I'm good.
I don't know. There is some of the technology that they're trying to implement, like using like solar winds, that could get us something like 1% of the speed of light, and that is like ungodly fast.
So I wonder how long it would take them to build ships that you see in sci-fi movies, whether it's the your Star Trek ship or whatever, but like where people are like walking around and they're like breathing the air, and like gravity has no, like they just has its own gravity. You know what I mean? Like they're not just like floating.
So I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about this, and in order to get like people from like Earth to Mars, I think it's about 3 or 6 months. Can't remember which one. But so that their bones and shit don't deteriorate, they can make an artificial gravity where it basically the ship just rotates. So it creates this feeling of gravity. But I remember seeing that it's actually easier to build a spaceship in space than it is to build it on the ground and launch it to space.
How?
How what?
How is that even a thing? How would it be easier to build a ship in space than it would be to build it on Earth? I don't understand.
It's an insane number, but I think it's for every pound it costs like $10,000. Or it's every $1,000. It's an insane amount. So for every pound, you have to get it to outer space. So if you could actually get the materials into space and then build it there, it'd be easier than trying to build a massive spaceship on Earth and then send it up.
Haven't you ever watched Star Trek? They build everything in space.
No.
Yeah, but they also have their own gravity, which apparently we haven't been able to mimic for some reason.
It's coming. It's coming, okay?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Artificial gravity is coming.
I don't know, Captain Picard seemed to figure it out.
Well, no, like I said, you have to just rotate it. But I think, do you mean like in terms of like Star Trek, where the thing doesn't rotate at all and it's just like
artificial gravity?
Yeah, people are literally walking around, not in suits and whatever, and they're just walking around like normal, living normal lives, but they're just floating around in space, like the ship is.
Like Wall-E.
Like literally like sci-fi movies that you see, like Star
Wall-E.
Trek. What?
Like Wall-E.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Or Star Trek.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this. It was fun, but I'm going to have to get going.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up there.
All right. Well, thanks for coming out and talking some, I guess I can't really say aliens because, we've already
stuff. We talked about a couple things.
Talked about UFOs and,
maybe
things that are strange. So I like it. Follow us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, like, subscribe, share. And thanks for coming around.
Yeah, that was a good little talk. That was fun.
Yeah, and thank you, Jimmy, for coming to hang out with us for a little bit.
Anytime.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.